If you feel a lump in my pocket, that's my wallet.
Oh, are you sure? Are you sure about that?
What are you laughing at? Just saying.
I'm not going to be touching anybody's pockets. Can you get off the online shop? You need to, like...
No, it's whether my pocket touches you.
I think it purely depends on who gets their fight. If I was Richard, I'd step on the front foot and try and keep the distance whilst being on the front foot. But if you can't do that, I think you're in for a long night.
So people underestimate Richard's boxing IQ, actually, the way that he can figure fights out, because he looks raw. Dion's a slick southpaw that can whack a little bit as well. And Richard was playing well today. I don't know what you thought, Johnny, in the press conference. Richard was playing the mind games, reminding him that he was dropped from the GB squad, reminding him that actually he was the man and now he's not the man.
This fight will either be Richard Riakporhe's biggest nightmare or his biggest knockout.
You know them better than both. You know both of them, sorry, better than us.
Has he been in the gym or did he just go walk about?
He's a gym rat. He's a gym rat. So he's always in a gym.
Johnny, could you move slightly over that way, just slightly? That's it, stay, yeah. And I'll get in. Savage might need to get in a little bit towards. It's always a tight fit. I just need to make sure that we're all in view.
If you feel a lump in my pocket, that's my wallet.
Oh, are you sure? Are you sure about that?
What are you laughing at? Just saying.
I'm not going to be touching anybody's pockets. Can you get off the online shop? You need to, like...
No, it's whether my pocket touches you.
I really hope we're all in view here. What? But you know what? It's always going to be...
Coming with a banter.
And the record button's on, yeah? You know I have heart attacks about the record button. I've checked it. I've got a bit of OCD. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We're here again, October Red Boxing, with Johnny Nelson, Spencer Oliver, and Savage Dan.
We dragged him along as well.
It begins. It begins. You're starting already.
We dragged him along.
It's his birthday dinner tonight, so he's getting excited.
Oh yeah, I am actually. Birthday dinner.
Is it just family only? Is it?
No, it's not a family. No, 32. But yeah. 32 and
320.
32. Just lose the note. We're just gonna go and get something to eat. It's my birthday on Sunday, so because my birthday's on Sunday, it's Mother's Day, innit? So that means that my birthday gets eaten up because it's Mother's Day. Because Mother's Day becomes before your birthday, doesn't it?
I didn't even know.
So it means that on my.
I mean, how many?
Which means it's Mother's Day. Did I miss that? Did he just say that?
Well, I didn't. Anyway. Well, Mother's Day, birthdays, it's fight week.
Yes.
2 days off. And I just want to go straight into the main card. I'm sorry, I'm feeling selfish. There's been a lot of fence sitting. There's been a lot of...
Oh, someone's going to get put on the spot. Put him on the spot.
Yeah, put him on the spot.
I can't...
Make it this
We've had this conversation.
Even if I was not fence sitting, I would have a tough time, because I have gone through this fight in my head loads of different times. I keep coming up with a different scenario. I think it purely depends on who gets their fight. If I was Richard, I'd step on the front foot and try and keep the distance whilst being on the front foot. But if you can't do that, I think you're in for a long night.
See, I'll tell you where it is with Richard, right? So people underestimate Richard's boxing IQ, actually, the way that he can figure fights out, because he looks raw. And he's working well now with Angel, and Angel's trying to add more to his armoury. But Richard actually is a better boxer than people give him credit for. If you go back to Tommy McCarthy, which was his coming-of-age fight, really, McCarthy was expected to win that fight. He was the one with the amateur pedigree, slick southpaw, and Richard went out there and he took that away from him. He deleted all of the Tommy McCarthy's attributes. And thank you, Johnny. And I think he proved there that he's a better boxer than we give him credit for, not just a good stiff jab and a good stiff right hand. Actually, he's better than that. So, and he needs that against Dion Jumah, because Dion's a slick southpaw that can whack a little bit as well. He likes to draw fighters on, step back, dig the shots in. So, but I think Richard recognises that as well. Richard knows that they've got history, these two. They go back. Madly, Dion Jumah was the kid that they looked up to. Jumah was the one that they were like, wow, that's where I want to be. And all of a sudden he's been inactive, and that Riakporhe and that have all sort of like taken over, and they've taken it, they've gone down, and now June was looking at him going, I want the opportunity. And Richard was playing well today. I don't know what you thought, Johnny, in the press conference. Richard was playing the mind games, reminding him that he was dropped from the GB squad, reminding him that actually he was the man and now he's not the man. Like, all those things. And I'll tell you what it was for, to break that, because Jumah, if he wins this fight, he outfoxes him, he outboxes him, keeps it long. Riakporhe's trying to do that, so Jumah goes, you know what?
Anger.
Fuck it, I'm going to take it to him. I'm going to take it. And then, boom, right hand, and that's where Riakporhe wins.
I think Jumah, his inactivity, remember he turned pro 2013, now we're on 2022, he's had 14 fights. What's that? How's that figure out? It's not even like 1.5 fights a year. I'm not sure how it works out. He's had 14 fights, not 7 of them out. Now you look at Richard Riakporhe's career, 13 fights, not 9 of them out. Look where he is. Look what he's in touching distance of doing. And he sees the likes of Jumah, and they spar together, and they'll both tell you a story about how well each other did. I just think Jumah and what Richard did in the presser was basically talk about him as an individual indirectly, saying, remember, you got dropped on this one, you got dropped on that one, why was that? You know, and if you look at Jumah's face, he didn't say nothing. He was like, he was kind of stunned.
Did you do that when you boxed Cole Thompson? You told me a similar sort of story to get inside his head, because a fight can be won or lost, can't it, in these press conferences?
It was excellent. It was excellent what he did. He was just winding him. I thought, ooh, beautiful shot. He could have elaborated on it to really piss him off, but he didn't. He just left it there and just like kissed his teeth and turned on. So then you've got to look at the fight itself. Richard Riakporhe is now surrounded by success. He's got AJ, he's training with AJ, he's training with Fraser Clark, he's training with all those guys that have done it. I've seen him up there in Loughborough, and it's a proper professional setup. My man's taken himself out of London and now moved to Loughborough. Loughborough, compared to London, is like a Sunday. You know, it's not even a Sunday, it's boring, man. There's nothing to do. But he's moved up there lock, stock and barrel and committed himself to it. This fight will either be Richard Riakporhe's biggest nightmare or his biggest knockout, because that right hand, if he throws it straight through and he gets the timing right, and Jumah is just not on spot on, you know, he'll knock him out clean. But when I saw Jumah's public workout, and Gary Logan was, Gary was there. What I saw with Jumah was he was kind of going back on his heels, and that was to me a bit disturbing, thinking you shouldn't be doing that at this point in your career. You've only had 14 fights, so it tells you that you're either your legs are kind of going, or you've been working too hard in the gym, or something's going on. But I thought your footwork actually isn't as good as what it should be. And if you get hit clean, stood the way you stood, you're going over and you're staying over. So there were little things I saw. I thought, I ain't comfortable with that. He's got Gary Logan in his corner. Gary Logan's very astute. He knows what he's talking about. But there's no point in doing that if you haven't got the tools to work with. It'll be an interesting fight. I'm going to go for Riakporhe. I think Riakporhe hasn't got the confidence to match his ability. And this is one of those fights that will give him more confidence to make his ability shine.
But what I wanted to touch on with all of you is this word that seems to be circling around it, and it's inactivity. We have to remember that also Richard Riakporhe has had a period of inactivity as well. And they are both, and they both come back in, and they both had 2 fights.
You know, but listen to this. Richard Riakporhe, public inactivity. Riakporhe has moved to Loughborough. He's been up there a couple of years now. He's lived in the gym. He's been sparring. He's been working on it all the time. So to me, as an ex-fighter, you know, as long as you're always working in the gym, all you got to do is perform in public. So this inactivity, I'm not harping on that. What I'm harping on is the reason for Jumah's inactivity, not the fact that he's not fought. Why is he not fought? Why has he not done these things?
Yeah, and Jumah's sort of like come back, and he's had those 2 fights. You're right, they both had 2 comeback fights, but Riakporhe's have been more meaningful fights. You know, they've been longer fights. Like Jumah was he in a 4-rounder last time or something? You know, so they're fights that, going into a fight of this magnitude, you need to be tested a little bit. Riakporhe was tested last time out against, what was the guy's name that he boxed last time? Deradola. That was a good test for him at this stage. You know, a learning fight where he could practice what he's been working on with Angel Fernandez in the gym. He was working on different bits of boxing and stuff, and he needs that all to come together on Saturday night. I just believe that Riakporhe, do you know when you speak to a fighter, right? You speak to a fighter on the day before the fight or the week of the fight. When you speak to him, you know they're in a good place mentally. Riakporhe's like in a good place mentally, and he looks like, you know, he's got it all. Dion Jumah to me was the one that looked a little bit edgy today. You know, he did. So I just think Riakporhe's in a good spot.
He's always like that. I'll be honest. He's always like this anyway. He's always like this. He's not, I mean, he can talk, but he's not even really human. It's weird. He's like one of those, like, it's everything is just water off a duck's back.
But you know them better than both. You know both of them, sorry, better than us.
Has he been in the gym, or did he just go walk about?
He's a gym rat. He's a gym rat. So he's always in a gym, regardless. This is one of those facts for me where I've got a case for both of them. In every, I can't figure it out. And the way I've done it in my head is whoever performs and is on their A game, and providing no one's flat, or if anyone's flat, they're getting beat.
I tell you what, this does tell me though with Riakporhe. Tells me how much confidence the guy's got to go. You know what? Yeah, give me Dan Jumah. I'm going to take that because it's a high risk, no reward fight for Riakporhe. For Jumah's the one that needs this fight. So this is the one that Jumah can go. I can get real momentum from this. But Riakporhe, you go, wow, mate. I said to him on the phone. I spoke to him on the phone today. I went, you know what? I respect you for this, mate, because this is a serious fight.
I messaged him. I said, woof, I rate you for that because look, bottom line, there probably wasn't that many replacements you could have had, and they both lost their opponents, and one was Riakporhe was already preparing for a southpaw, Dion was already preparing for a while, so there was similarities to styles. It might have made a bit more sense than people think, but it's still, look, 3 weeks is barely enough to prepare for either of them, you know, for the styles.
But they are fight fit. But so does that tell you, if you're saying it's a big shout for Richard to say I'm having this, does that tell you the confidence that he got from when they sparred to say I know what I can do with this guy? Does that tell you a lot more?
Funny, I interviewed him earlier actually, and I asked him about the spar. You know, he told me all the sparring. He said, you know what? First spar, he said, yeah, I'd done all right. I was doing well against him. He goes, second spar, he goes, this is probably where he gets the confidence that he done all right in that spar. Actually, he goes, yeah, he was actually doing all right. He may have even got the better of it. He goes, but it's sparring, mate. He goes, and you know that sparring ain't fighting. And we've seen it in the gyms, or I've seen people like, I remember a fighter, Michael Shaka Ayres, unbelievable fighter, lightweight fighter. He was terrible in the gym when he sparred, terrible. But the guy would just produce it on the night, right? And so that means nothing. Sparring means nothing, but it was the manner that Riakporhe was reacting to that spar. He's going, well, Jumah's, that's all he's talking about is that spar. He went, I know what happened in the spar, I'm not worried about it. But he was so relaxed and confident, I thought, you know what, this kid, that's why I'm going towards, in a real 50-50 fight here, by the way, I'm leaning towards Riakporhe for these like little things that will become a massive factor in this fight. The guy just seems to be, he seems to be mentally in a really good, strong place.
And we talk about him mentally being in a good place because he's brought a bit of his personality out. Richard Riakporhe is usually someone that's quite reserved, quite respectful. But what we're starting to see with him is a bit of cheek,
The thing is, he's growing up. He's getting comfortable with who he is. He's not embarrassed to say, I actually can do this, to brag and boast. Whereas most people, they feel uncomfortable letting you know how good they are. I went up to Loughborough when they were there. I said, yo, you got to bully this man. You got to show him you're a man. You got to manhandle him. You got to rough him up. Get him complaining. I said, when he starts complaining to the referee, within 3 rounds, the fight's over. You've got to put it on. That shows what you're doing is working. So put it on him, bully him, and that's how he's got to work it. So the way he was there, I thought, I was pretty proud of him. I thought, good boy. We've seen
that in his performances before, where he looks a little bit like the rabbit in the headlights, like where he's sort of unsure of what he's doing in there. He's like caught between styles, or whether that confidence is just not there. You know, we've seen that in the past, and when shots are coming at him, his eyes open up, and you think, well, you know, he's not looking comfortable. But I think he looked more comfortable in the last fight. I think we could see that development, and it looked good. And I just think that something in me just tells me, you know what? I think he's just gonna click on Saturday night, because I think he's got the tools in the locker to be a very good fighter and a world champion. I really do.
Well, the thing is, he said to me Riakporhe said to me he believes, and he wouldn't be surprised if he gets him out there early. Dion is expecting, I guess, a boxing match because he's talking about taking him out late. Yeah. But what I do think, and this is just my personal opinion, that in the first 3 rounds, we're going to know exactly where that fight's going.
I reckon he can spin on his head though, because I've seen Riakporhe do it time and time again anyway. Okay, you know, he's got a right hand that can get him out of trouble if he needs to get out of trouble. He has got one of those, But
that takes commitment from an opponent to stand there in distance to get hit by the right hand. So if you get close enough to him, boom, he'll have to let it go instinctively. So that's why that's his KO saver.
Yeah, I mean, let's look back at Sam Hyde when he boxed Sam Hyde, Riakporhe. Yeah. You know, that's a great indicator of where he's at, Riakporhe. He had to dig deep there against Sam Hyde. Hyde's eyes swelled up, and eventually Riakporhe got the stoppage. What I'm saying is, he answered a lot of questions there, Riakporhe, in that fight, where Hyde was taking it to him. You know, he was giving it to him a little bit, and Riakporhe turned it around.
And it was a good fight. Dion against had was a very, very good fight. That was just tit for tat. It could have gone either way. Look, it's either way. They're both unbeaten. They're both tough. They both look confident. They both are not expecting to lose. I'm telling you this like for a fact. Dion does not expect to lose this fight. He expects to win it. Riakporhe obviously expects to win this fight as well, but otherwise he probably wouldn't have taken it.
I remember when Jumah came on the scene a few years ago on Sky, and I saw him on Sky. I said, "You got to look out for this guy. Yeah? This guy is going to be trouble for the cruiserweight division." Then he kind of disappeared, and that's what kind of I'm gutted for him. Not gutted for him because obviously there's reasons why, either it was him or illness or injuries or whatever. But when that happens to a fighter and they look back, they look on the career and they see guys that he was dealing with as youngsters starting to achieve and succeed so much, I think he might have missed his boat.
They're the same age though, no?
Yeah, but you know,
but in mileage.
Look what
yes.
mileage-wise. He turned pro 2013, Riakporhe 2016. Look what Riakporhe's done inside that time, and look where he is. Look at the fights he's had in that career.
You know what? I think this fight could be one of those fights to sum it up. Really, that it could become a psychological battle. I don't think the physical side of that. Yep. I think that they both might have to go through some rocky moments, and then the psychological comes in. The championship material. Who can get it over the line? You know, who's the one that's not going to feel sorry for themselves? Who's going to be able to pull themselves out of that tough hole?
Who's been there out of the two of them? Who's had that gut check out of the two of them?
Riakporhe's the one that's got the edge in that.
So we know what Riakporhe's gut check is. Do we know what Jumah's gut check is? Because when he's been, I understand, but when he's been in it, when he was on the podium for England, when he was signed up by Wasserman, you know, for some reason or another, they let him go. Or for some reason or another, he wasn't good enough to stay with him. So therefore, does that not answer a question for you?
I know the reason. It was pericarditis. Inflammation of the muscles around the heart.
Right,
so he was out for years. Yeah, because of that, the board wouldn't give him his.
How's he got to pass his medical?
He beat it, and then obviously he had the retina. So he's had injuries, unlucky injuries. Look, bottom line, I don't think there's a better time for Richard to fight Dion. But I also think that if you can catch Richard in transition, in terms of style, it might not be a better time to fight Richard.
I've got one for you. The best Dion Jumah you know versus the best Richard Riakporhe you know, who wins? Not saying that it's fight because we don't know where they are, but I'm saying the best of both of them.
I've never been in a ring with Riakporhe. I've never been in a ring, so I don't know what that feels like. But I always just felt like Dion, even when it got tough, he could dig his heels in and just go again. Like that's it. Like that's the like that. He's got a toughness, almost like he can bite down and he can really tough it out. And I don't know. He's a bit of a crazy man.
You've got to be crazy to box though. You know what I'm saying?
But you can see it's obvious with him, but he's got this anger and he's got this passion in him. Yeah. But sometimes I do think, is that going to go against Dion because he's emotionally invested in this big.
If lands one big shot, everyone knows it. He probably does punch the hardest in the division. There's no getting away from that right hand. You're only human. As in, if it lands, then you're in big trouble. But it's just who gets their fight. This could go in any way, you know. This could go in any that I can't figure it out.
Well, all right then. You're still sat on the fence. I get it. All right then. What are we saying?
I think Riakporhe finds a way. I think Riakporhe, he may have to come through some sticky moments, and it might be a little bit tricky in the early rounds. But I think eventually he starts establishing the jab. He lands the right hand, and we know what power he. Listen, when you're sitting at ringside with Riakporhe, yeah. I'll tell you the sound that you get when his shots land. Do you want me to tell you the sound that he gets when the shots land? When Anthony Joshua throws shots and they land, it's that thudding noise, it's like exactly that. Exactly, that's a great analogy. It's like a baseball bat hitting a watermelon.
So what's your prediction?
I think Riakporhe mid rounds. I think that'll be from a mistake of Jumah. Jumah might be having a successful moment, get overconfident, overcocky, think right, so boom, walks into a shot. Mid-rounds Riakporhe.
Well, there you have it. I'm not giving a prediction because I'm sat on the fence. I know what I'm thinking in my head.
These two, man.
But what can I say? Tell
us when the camera's off, yeah?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you when the camera's off. But yeah, thank you very much, October Red Boxing, and that's our predictions and our thoughts on Saturday's main card.
No, that's mine and Johnny's predictions.
Well, yeah, but we've given our thoughts.
Beautiful. Yeah. Our prediction.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a wrap. That's a wrap.
Told about herself.
Hi, and thank you for watching October Red Boxing. Like, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications. You can also find us on Instagram at October Red Boxing and on Twitter, October Red UK. And remember, at October Red, we stay ready.